Wonderful sound, and that distinctive elliptical wind demonstrates that that is the Spitfire. Designed by Reginald Mitchell, produced in greater numbers than any other British combat aircraft before or since the war. More than 20,000 Spitfires were built in 22 different variants, including the navalised Seafire, and the aircraft remained in production for 12 years. The prototype's maiden flight took place on the 5th of March 1936, and the twin-bladed Mark I Spitfires entered RAF service with number 19 Squadron in August 1938. So ahead of its time was that original design that it not only helped to establish and maintain air superiority, which was so vital at this time of year in 1940 when the Battle of Britain was underway, particularly concentrated in the southeast of England, but it meant that the aircraft was able to keep pace with the development of enemy fighters throughout the Second World War, and by the end of the war the aircraft had more than double the 1,050 horsepower of the original Mark I Spitfire, and a vast improvement in speed, in service altitude, and in its weapons payload. The aircraft remained in RAF frontline service up until 1954, and of course is still in service with the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight, where they have 8 Spitfires as part of the flight, as well as a Chipmunk, a Dakota, the Lancaster, and 3 Hurricanes. That's all based at RAF Coningsby in Lincolnshire. If you're ever down that way, it's well worth going along to visit, seeing the aircraft and smelling them in the hangar. It's got a wonderful old aeroplane smell. The roles of the Spitfire and Hurricane during the Battle of Britain were very different. The Spitfire, being faster and more manoeuvrable than the Hurricane, would tend to engage the enemy fighters that were flying top cover for the German bombing raids, while the Hurricanes got in amongst the bombers themselves. It's one of those ironies that the designer of the Spitfire, R.J. Mitchell, didn't survive long enough to see the Spitfire in service at the start of the war. He died before war broke out. But I think it's fair to say that without the Spitfire, the outcome of the Battle of Britain and therefore the Second World War would have been very different indeed. During the Battle of Britain, there were 12 aircraft in a squadron. Often the pilots would fly 3, 4, sometimes 5 sorties in a day. Sleeping in dispersal areas in the airfield, ready for a scramble, often before 6 o'clock in the morning.
I have seen one run, it's got a very good Cube.
It was 72 years ago at this time of year, July 1940, that the Nazi forces had triumphed throughout Europe. Only Britain held out, just 20 miles away from the German forces at the Channel's narrowest point. Goering told Hitler that he could destroy the RAF in 4 weeks.